Okay, so I want to share one of my favorite stories with you guys. This week has been pretty challenging, I would say, from a professional and personal standpoint. And I kind of had a little bit of a revelation, and this is why you read books, right? I remember reading Think and Grow Rich 5, 6 years ago, and I remember this story that I'm going to read to you guys. And then I'm going to relate it back to what's going on in my life right now, and hopefully this will serve as some inspiration for you as well. Okay, so this is called 3 Feet from Gold by Napoleon Hill. So one of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. Every person is guilty of this mistake at one time or another. An uncle of R.U. Darby was caught by the gold fever in the gold rush days and went west to dig and grow rich. He had never heard that more gold has been mined from the brains of men than has ever been taken from the earth. He staked a claim and went to work with pick and shovel. The going was hard, but this was his lust for the gold was definite. After weeks of labor, he was rewarded by the discovery of a shining ore. He needed machinery to bring that ore to the surface, so quietly he covered up the mine. He retraced his footsteps to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland, told his relatives and a few neighbors of the strike. They got together money and for the needed machinery, and they had it shipped there. The uncle and Darby went back to work the mine. The first car of ore was mined and shipped to the smelter. Their returns proved they had one of the richest mines in Colorado. A few more cars of that ore would clear the debts. Then would come the big killing and profits. Down with the drills, up with the hopes of Darby and uncle. And then something happened. The vein of gold ore disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. They drilled on, desperately trying to pick up the vein again, all to no avail. Finally, they decided to quit. They sold the machinery to a Junkman for a few $100s and took the train back home. Some Junkmen are dumb, but not this one. He called in a mining engineer to look at the mine and do a little bit of calculating. The engineer advised that the project had failed because the owners were not familiar with what were called fault lines. His calculations showed that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped drilling, and that's exactly where it was found. The Junkman took millions of dollars in ore from the mine because he knew enough to keep secret counsel before giving up. Most of the money which went into the machinery was procured through the efforts of R.U. Darby, who was then a very young man. The money came from his relatives and his neighbors because of their faith in him. He paid back every single dollar of it, although it took him years to do so. Long afterward, Mr. Darby recouped his loss many times over when he made the discovery that desire can be transmitted into gold. The discovery came after he went into the business of selling life insurance. Remembering that he lost a huge fortune because he had stopped 3 feet from gold, Darby profited by the experience in his chosen work by the simple method of saying to himself, I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance. Darby is one of the small group of a fewer than 50 men who sell more than $1 million in life insurance annually. He owes his stickability to the lesson he learned from his quitability in the gold mining business. Before success becomes true in any man's life, he is sure to meet with some temporary defeat and perhaps even failure. When defeat overtakes a man, the easiest and most logical thing to do is quit. That is exactly what the majority of men do, and women. More than 500 of the most successful men in history, and at this point of the country, have ever known, told the author of Napoleon Hill that their greatest success came just one step beyond the point at which defeat had overtaken them. Failure is a trickster with a keen sense of irony and cunning ability. It takes great delight in tripping one when success is almost within reach. So this week, there's been times where I have felt like quitting. There's been times where you think you have something done, a project is completed, and you're at the finish line, and it's fallen out. I was just talking to my buddy. I'll call him out, Johnny Lefko. We were talking about the same exact thing. But if you just stay in the game, stay focused, determined, patient, positive, abundant, driven, and focused, you just have to realize you're 3 feet from gold. Now, in relation to real estate, it might make sense to Just like the guy that Darby did not have come out and check the fault lines in your real estate, maybe you should have a successful team member help you with your due diligence, with finding projects, and that's me. I can help you find what you need from an investment standpoint. But also, I want you to know that behind what I'm doing is a mentality that is never going to stop for my clients. I'm happy to give you 15 references of this where you just stay in the game and you might just realize that you're 3 feet from gold. Would love to hear your comments. Live free.